Sports and Songs podcast. Today is August 22nd. Andy, we're on season 3, episode number 40. We got a special guest today, Jeremy Quass, joining us. How you doing, Andy, first of all?
I'm doing good.
And how you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on here.
Awesome. So we got the football season coming up, college football to be kicking off, the Gophers in particular, September 1st, New Mexico State. And it's going to be some fun stuff. Andy, do you have anything to start off with before we start the football? Do you have any other sports to discuss?
Just a couple things. I'll do a regular sports show again midweek like we did last week. We're going to keep this one today, just Gopher Football. I'll cover baseball and some basketball news and other stuff later in the week. Just a couple things. Keeping on football topic, we're going to talk basically Big Ten, but just give some notes here. FCS preseason rankings came out. Of course, Bison were number 1 with 24, the first place votes out of 25. Montana second. SDSU got the other first place votes voted third. And Montana State is 4th. Villanova take off top 5. Preseason for the NCAA, the big schools there. Alabama 1, Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Clemson 4, and Irish 5th. Texas A&M, Utah, Michigan, Oklahoma, and Baylor off the top 10. Of course, they'll be different by middle of September, but that's their preseason rankings.
Awesome.
Alabama got 54 of the 63 first place votes. Ohio State got 6, and Georgia got 3. So there's that. We got 2 schools in the Big Ten up there. Big Ten, the East and the West, Jeremy. Preseason predictions. Just kind of give me we'll do the East first here. The powers to be say it's going to be Ohio State 1, Michigan 2, Michigan State, Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, Indiana for the East. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, the thing is with, obviously Michigan beat Ohio State last year, but, it's hard to go against Ohio State. I mean, they recruit well. I mean, that's pretty well known. They get a lot of 5 stars, but so does Michigan. But Michigan lost a lot off that defense. So it's going to be, those are usually the top 2 until someone else knocks them off. But Michigan State.
For Michigan last year, was that lightning in a bottle, or were they really that good?
I think it was lightning in a bottle, personally. I'm not a Harbaugh guy either. He's a hard guy to buy into.
Right.
And that defense was pretty elite last year. But obviously, they lost Aiden Hutchinson, who went to Detroit, I think the 2nd overall pick.
Yep.
There's a reason why they had the success they did, is they had a great defense. But then obviously you saw what happens in a bowl game, when they go up against better competition and, lay an egg. So
yeah.
I would say Ohio State 1, Michigan 2, and then it's kind of a drop off between those 2.
Right. The rest is, fill in the blank. You can't go either way.
Yep, absolutely.
The West. This is what they got. For the West, they got Wisconsin, Iowa, Purdue, Minnesota, Nebraska, Illinois, and then Northwestern. And I think that conference is kind of the same way. It's going to be Wisconsin, Iowa, then the field after that.
I think the Gophers should be above Purdue. We beat them last year too. We also beat Wisconsin last year. And we played Iowa tough on the road. The one thing that I'm glad we're above Nebraska. We had a little pre-thing here, but they've always been picked to be above us, and Scott Frost just can't get that team to buy in. I don't know what his deal is there. Honestly, I think it's Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota are kind of the top 3, and then it kind of goes maybe Purdue, and then it's the other ones there. Scott Frost has to prove something at Nebraska the best
his
3
job's on the line.
He keeps talking about. So
his job's on the line, I think.
100%.
Look at the Gopher schedule here. Their first 3 non-conference games, all at home, all at the bank. New Mexico State. Then they had FCS team in Western Illinois, and then Colorado. Are they coming out here,
They should. The Western Illinois, like Bowling Green last year, we lost to. which was just I don't know what happened that game. They came at us with stuff that we didn't see before.
The stars and moons were aligned for Bowling State, I think, that day.
I mean, the nice, it kind of depends. The Colorado one could be kind of scary. I know a group of 20 of us, we actually went to the game in Colorado last year when we won 30-0. They went through because Mel, what is his name? Mel Tucker.
Yep.
He went to Michigan State. He was at Colorado, and he was building something there. But then a lot of transferred out after he left, and they weren't great last year at all. I mean, they couldn't get anything going, offense and defensively at all when we faced them. So right now, I do have the Gophers at 3-0 after those 3 games.
First 3 of the first 4 after that in conference are all road games. At Michigan State, then homecoming against Purdue, then Illinois, Penn State on the road. 3-1 after that set?
That's the best case scenario. I mean, the Happy Valley game, that's going to be their whiteout game, is against us this year. I mean, that's pretty notorious for Penn State. They always have this whiteout game. They usually try to have it against Michigan or like Ohio State if they host them, but this year it happened to be us, and that's the one game I'm a little nervous about. But I think PJ Fleck will get those guys ready to go. So, if you go 4-0 there too, that would be great. But yeah, 3-1. At this point too, I did have them at about 7-1 going into the last few games here.
Then the next 3 are Rutgers, at Nebraska, and home against Northwestern. 3-0 or 2-0? Because I figure out of those 3, you're going to step on one of those games. You're going to.
I have them at 3-0. I know a little bit of Gopher Kool-Aid there, but the Rutgers is not that good, even with Shiano back there now.
And that's a home game for us. The Rutgers is a home game, so that's what's good for me there.
Yep. Rutgers is a home game, and then the Nebraska game, you just never know. Like I said, at that point, Frost may be fired, maybe he's still there, maybe they have a good game. We don't really know what they're looking at. I mean, they start playing. I think they're in Dublin, Ireland this week against Northwestern.
Right.
They're playing that week 0 game, but that's going to kind of determine where they're going to go, because if they don't have, much to play for, especially, if they're 1 and whatever, and that's going to be a tough game. Which is, I actually have some Nebraska in me now. My nephew goes there.
Okay.
He just started school there today. So I got to be a little bit nice to Nebraska, but I'm not going to be that nice. But then the Northwestern game too is that's another tough one where, last year they didn't play well, but it's a Pat Fitzgerald team, so you never know if they're going to come back and just, be in the Big Ten West race either. So right now I have us as 3-0 for those 2 as well.
And the reason the Northwestern game scares me is because, like all Minnesota teams, pro or college, they're always looking ahead. Because after Northwestern, it's at home and against Iowa, then at Wisconsin. So if they're not looking too far ahead going, oh my God, we're in this, and they don't crap the bed against Northwestern, we should be okay.
Yep.
But at or home against Iowa, then at Wisconsin. The Wisconsin game in a way too could be depending where everybody's sitting in the standings, really, because if Wisconsin's got the West locked up and you got to play for the Big Ten title afterwards, we could be playing for a chance for a decent bowl game afterwards. So that one, again, we don't know. But Iowa, man, I'd love to see the win against Iowa here at home.
Yep.
Just kind of get that monkey off our back,
Yeah.
Now, of all the trophies, which ones do the Gophers have right now? Between like the axe and the jug and everything else, do we have anything?
Right now we have the axe, which is with Wisconsin, and then right now we have the victory bell against Penn State. And then obviously we'd be playing for Florida Rosedale as well.
Isn't there one other one with Nebraska? Didn't we start talking with Nebraska a couple years ago?
Well, it's kind of a trophy, I guess you could say. It's $5 bits of chair trophy or whatever.
Yeah, they got something with Nebraska, I thought. But.
Yeah. And then we also have the little brown jug with Michigan, but we don't see them this year.
We don't see them this year. So Now, with that being said, so we're looking at two losses this year.
So I have them at 9-3, just because you never know. Like you said, you never know which one they're going to crap the bed in. I hate to be that way with being a Gopher fan, but I've seen it too many times. I've been a season ticket holder in the new stadium since 2015, and then I was a season ticket holder 1999, 2000 until 2008 at the Metrodome. So I've seen a lot of crap. I mean,
now in a couple years when USC and UCLA join, are they going to keep it an East and West and kind of move teams around, or do you think they might go like what SEC wants to do? Oklahoma and Texas go to like 4 divisions and kind of have a playoff after that.
It's going to be interesting. When this news came out with UCLA and USC, I think it took a little bit. It was a little bit shocking to me because I wasn't expecting us to go that far west, I guess. Because for a lot of teams, that doesn't make sense, especially, let's say you got like Penn State that's got to travel to USC. There's more travel costs than that and everything like so. But what they're trying to do is hopefully get 2 more from that area to kind of maybe make like almost like a West division, like a true West division, and then kind of maybe like a Central, maybe go to that 4 division maybe. But it's still kind of up in the air because they want to keep adding teams. And now with this new TV deal that they struck for 7 years, $7 to $8 billion per year, or $1 billion per year, so $7 to $8 billion. I mean,
that's saved UCLA.
Yeah, well, there's
USC. They were in the red bad.
So here's the thing. I don't know if you've seen anything with that. UCLA is technically like USC is a private institution,
right?
So they don't need to get approval from their board of regents that are in the state of California, because UCLA is still technically a state school.
Right.
And now there's been a lot of backing on that with they may not get the approval to move to the Big Ten. So there's a lot of moving parts here. I mean, USC is locked in for sure. They're a private institution. They don't need the approval. So far UCLA is still fighting it. But obviously they want to get to the Big Ten. I mean, look at all that money that's coming in now. So
now I know football, you got to play. You can play 2 games in 5 days, but it's hard. With the West Coast trip, do you think kind of with basketball for the smaller schools, hypothetically, like Minnesota and Wisconsin will go out west, and one plays UCLA, the other plays USC, then you kind of switch on Thursday night, play their team. You think schools might do that, buddy up, go, hey, let's 2 schools go out there, we can practice together against each other and do stuff like that? You think that might be a thing? Or maybe not for them, but like Penn State and Rutgers and Maryland. Fly out there and just spend the week there and play both teams.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, a lot of times the Big Ten has been really getting into playing Friday night games. I don't personally like it, but, TV dictates a lot. And a lot of the Big Ten games are either on Big Ten Network on Friday nights, or sometimes they're on FS1.
Yeah.
So, if that's something, to maybe cut down on travel costs, but then you still got the cost of, hey, we got to have a team hotel.
Yeah.
You got to have practice facilities. You got to get catering. You got to do, all that kind of stuff too. Yeah. So I don't know what that would amount to either, but it would probably be especially for like East Coast teams that got to go west, or, the West Coast teams that got to go east, that could be, that might be something that the Big Ten looks at, but, like I said, then you got to figure in all those extra costs and everything that, are associated with all that stuff too.
Yeah, we talk about how that's going to be so excited for football. And I know we're trying to keep on football here, but when I heard those 2 schools were joining, the basketball schedule, the basketball guy, me got very excited for those games.
Yep,
absolutely. That really got me excited there. And women's volleyball, I like women's volleyball too. So those games got me all excited. It's like, finally we played them in the regular season. We talked a little bit here. Missouri Valley Conference, that's FCS, where the Bison are. Big Bison guy. My cousin's boy played there. He's got 5 rings. Been up there. That's a religion up there. I've talked to some people up there. I said, why don't you guys come to the Big Ten? why don't the Bison come to the Big Ten? The first thing they said is the Big Ten said the Fargo Dome's too small. I said, we're tailgating here. You could pass the hat and get the money to make a bigger stadium if you had to. I think the Bison like being the big fish in the small pond.
Yeah, I could see that. I have never. That is one thing I always want to do is go up to the Fargo Dome for a game. I've heard it's incredible.
Oh, the tailgating's the best. Well,
we'll see. We may have to get you out to a Gopher tailgate, so then you can experience what that's like.
I had a little inside help though when I was at Bison because like I said, I knew a player there, so I had a little inside help there. So,
well, you guys. We got a pretty good tailgate that we have. We got about 40 people in our group, and it can usually get to about 60 to 70 people deep. So we have fun. But NDSU. The Big Ten definitely said that. I remember that a few years ago when they're looking to possibly expand into that. I've been to some stadiums. Northwestern's is horrible.
Oh yeah,
it is. It is a terrible stadium. If anybody's ever been there, you can't see the scoreboard in certain sections of the stadium. It's all concrete. It's just horrible. So and I know the Fargo Dome is probably a little bit better than that. So it's like, why, at least with NDSU, they'll get people there. One game I went to at Northwestern, I think they announced a crowd of 5,000.
Right.
It's terrible down there. Northwestern's all about, they want to read their books and stay in their dorms and, watch, PBS and stuff on there. But
like the Gophers got an FCS team on here. They got Western Illinois, and they have played like the Bison a few times. Now the Bison this year are going down to Arizona to play this year. They got a game down there. A lot of people say the Gophers are afraid of the Bison. They're afraid if the Bison come down here, it's going to be almost like a home game for them because their fans travel so well. But in defense of that, the few years the Bison played here, the Gophers were really on a downswing at the time.
Yeah.
If the Bison played here this year or next with PJ here and that, you think the crowd would be pretty 50-50, or you think it'd still be a more Gopher crowd, or how do you think it would go?
Right now, a good example of that, Wisconsin and Iowa.
Yeah.
If anybody went to a game at the Metrodome, it was probably 75-30, 25 for Wisconsin, Iowa fans compared to Gopher fans, because Gopher fans would just sell their tickets, mark them up, and make money and basically pay for the season tickets the next year. So since moving to TCF and everybody's kind of buying into PJ, it's been a lot more Gopher fans in the stands compared to how it used to be. You'll still see the trickle of red and the yellow and black and everything like that, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Now, could that be different with NDSU? I don't know. I would love to find out. I think it'd be a good game for us.
Yeah. Now Gophers are doing better now.
Yeah.
And the Bison, they travel well down to Frisco, down to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Fargo South, what they call it.
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't everybody have a condo down there already?
Yeah, I was going to say, they all winter down there anyway, so what's the difference? With that said, do you like the playoff format they got in the bowls with the four teams? Do you want them to see the big schools change their playoff format?
We're going to see what happens here the next few years with these, quote-unquote super conferences that are going to happen. The Big Ten, we're going to go to 16 maybe. I think SEC is going to be about the same too. Yep. The thing is, is 4 teams enough? Yes. But how does that 5th team feel? And the thing is, it's all kind of more, I don't think there's really any good solution except for possibly doing like a NCAA bracket style, basketball style. But then, that gets to be too much too. So, where do you draw the line? 4, 8, 12, that's kind of something that they're going to have to figure out because, obviously with these super conferences that are going to be coming here, there's rumors that the ACC, Big 12, and, maybe Pac-12 are going to kind of form an alliance too. So, it's going to be interesting the next few years how they're going to decide what to do with all this, with the super conferences and stuff, and then with the football playoff as well. So,
but if you got 4 or 5 super conferences and that conference has its playoff to dwindle down to the Final Four, then you kind of do have an expanded playoffs in a way.
Correct.
If the Big Ten says, okay, we got 4 conferences in the Big Ten, we'll have our tournament to get our Big Ten champ, and they go to the Final Four. SEC does their thing. Super Conference X does their thing, and then Notre Dame, because they always get.
Yeah, well.
And the NBC money's got to run out at Notre Dame pretty soon. Someone's got to step in and is going to cut them a check to get him in, I think.
Well, they're part of that group that just bought in for the Big Ten. Yeah. So NBC with Peacock too. So that's why people keep thinking that they're going to switch to the Big Ten, because, I mean, that's a pretty good chunk of pie there that's, that they're not using right now. So.
Well, you look at all the money Notre Dame gets. ACC for basketball, Big Ten for hockey, because they're in those conferences for that. So they just got to sell into one conference, and they more than make up that NBC money. So, but
and it would make more sense for them to be in the Big Ten anyway. I mean, they're surrounded by Big Ten teams.
They play Michigan and Ohio State almost sometimes both every year. Sometimes they play another Indiana or Purdue, another Big Ten school. So they kind of play a Big Ten schedule to start with anyway.
And they usually play USC too, which is going to be a Big Ten school here pretty soon.
So it's kind of we're kind of feeding that hand, going, oh look, half your schedule's Big Ten already at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I know they got a pretty solid contract with NBC, but with NBC buying in and be like, hey, probably a good idea to possibly move into the Big Ten instead of just, like you said, being in different conferences for different things too, which is probably confusing for everybody.
And that's all still because of Lou Holtz. They got that contract too.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And they'll be starting on him too. Curse him. Well, that's good. I like having you on. That's been great stuff. One guy for the Gophers, I was looking up here, being a Minnetonka alum, Cade Gonzalez, a receiver from the Gophers.
Convenience.
Yeah, I'll always look up to see if there's any skippers on there. Yeah. His old man played for the Gophers, but both grandpas played for the Bison. So this kid's got football in his blood. He'll be fun to watch, I think.
Oh yeah, you got football season coming up here. He's usually on. Father's usually on with KFan, 7:00 on Thursdays.
Is he?
Fargo Flash. Yep.
Oh, is that who his dad is? I haven't listened to KFan in like 20 years, and I tried to today. It's the same guys. It's the same guys.
I listen to the Power Trip morning show just because I start my work day at 4 a.m. most days. So that's usually on when I'm in my work truck and then, doing my job or whatever. So I'm usually listening to that. But, Justin Conzemius, he's Fargo Flash. That's what he's known as around here. So
I think the last time I listened to really listened to him, Mike Morris was still doing the morning show.
Ooh, that was a while.
See, that's what I mean. And I remember when Dan Cole was an intern there when they first started with KFan as a station, and Hartman and Barrero, and it was all those bits. Yeah. And I've tried to listen to them, and God bless them, they're doing a great job. But it's kind of like listening to Tom Bernard. You can check in at any time. It's the same booger joke that you heard 4 years ago that you heard 10 years ago. The same stories.
Yep.
So, and I like the fact that they deviate away from sports every now and then because there's just sometimes nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
But they still kind of get on my nerves a little bit. Dan Cole gets on my nerves. You're just not that funny anymore, Dan. Yeah, sure he's a nice guy. Don't get me wrong, but I can't do him that often. That's all right. We'd love to have you on like the end of the year when bowl season starts and
absolutely would love to.
A couple more things about yourself. You've done a little bit of the bowling in a way.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you do the amateur tour or a pro tour?
So technically, I'm on the pro tour. I do have my PBA card.
I got Lakers, or what team are you on?
What's that?
What team are you on here? Do you belong to any of the teams around here, like the Linz Lakers or anything like that?
No, nope. I bowl out of Hollywood Sports Complex in Watertown there.
Okay.
And then I bowl on another league here, Tuttles and Hopkins. So, but
okay. You go to Texas Honka much at all?
What's that?
You go to Texas Honka out in Hopkins, St. Louis Park area?
I've been there. Yep. I usually just bowl at Tuttle's there in Hopkins. So.
A buddy of mine runs the pro shop out there at Texaconka.
Oh yeah. What's his name?
Mark Voplander.
Oh yep.
And I know John from Country Club Lanes. I grew up out there, so.
Oh, gotcha. Yep, I bowled at Country Club too. So.
Yep, I grew up out there working there. So, yes, the stories that building could tell.
Same thing with Hollywood, because not many people know is actually my grandpa was the first one to put Hollywood where it is.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Back in if you guys know, if you've been to Watertown, you know where the lodge is currently.
Yep.
That was the original Watertown lanes. There was 4 lanes in there. He was the last owner there. Watertown didn't want to give him a liquor license because his bowlers like, hey, we want to drink a beer, we want to have a drink or whatever during bowling. Hollywood Township said, yeah, we'll give you whatever we want. And then it used to be a C store that he turned into a bar restaurant, and then obviously with the 6 lanes of bowling. So and then added on the volleyball and all the softball stuff and everything like that. So
that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we'll have you on for that. Of course, this weekend down in the Faribault area, we'll see you.
Absolutely.
I saw about the Waconia game got switched for location for that.
Yeah, I saw that. That was
for some reason.
Yeah, they were supposed to play in Dundas, and then they got moved to Meesville. But
yeah, I don't know.
If you kind of look at the attendance numbers, I can kind of see why they wanted to switch Waconia to Meesville.
Yeah.
I mean, the Faribault did amazing. Like I said, I'll be there on Sunday. I was down in Dundas on Saturday. We were taking in the Cold Spring versus New York Mills game to see who we were facing.
20-4.
Yeah, it was.
Is that good or New York Mills that bad?
It's I don't want to rip on New York.
Their day, they were hitting everything.
Yeah, it was. It's going to be different for Cold Spring just because of our pitching. I think you guys know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of an abundance of riches there, where we just got pitching and pitching. It's going to be different when Cold Spring seeds. Probably, I'm assuming Holt's going to be starting.
I assume Double H would start. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume he'll start. It's going to be different. I mean, you got Holt throwing, 85, 86, somewhere in that range. I mean, the guys for New York Mills were topping maybe 80. So, okay. I mean, it's going to be different. I mean, they were hitting everything that day. Congrats to them. I mean, they definitely, it was definitely no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. You got anything, Dan, to add football knowledge-wise?
No, I don't think anything for today's show, but I just wanted to thank Jeremy for coming on and sharing his expertise a little bit on the Big Ten and whatnot. And
in December, we'll have you on again with bowl season.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Any closing thoughts, Andy?
No, just I'll do a midweek show Wednesday on Instagram to cover all the other sports, and then our songs episode Thursday.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
See you next time.
Thank you.